Hi, this is Susha Surendran. So in my previous video, we have seen how to build employees page in WaveMaker. So in this video, we will see how to build apply vacation page of vacation management application. So this is how our apply vacation page needs to be. It has a start date, end date, and type, which is a drop down. And on submit or save, it will be, the data will be saved in DB. So first, we will be selecting our page, apply vacation under the pages. Already the page is we have created before. So with a label, apply vacation. So now we need to have a live form over here. So I'm in under widgets, I am searching for live form and drag and drop it. So here you can see it is asking from where the data needs to be pulled. So in our case, there are options as before: services, widgets, existing variable. In our case, we can directly get it from the database. So I'm selecting the database here. And since we are pushing the data to the vacation table, I'm selecting the vacation. And by default, all the details are being populated. Next, you can select which type of template you require. So here I'm going to select the 2 column. And on the right hand side, there is mode, which will tell whether your form needs to be viewable. So in our case, it is editable. And type, whether it needs to be a dialog or a pop-up. But in our case, it is an inline form. So I'm keeping it as inline. And we can also mark how to align and how to position the label and widgets. All of these, I am keeping it as default ones. Next, by default, our vacation table fields are being populated over here. So here, tenant ID, we don't require, so I'm deselecting it. So start date, end date, we are keeping it as a date. So the date widget will be appearing. And the type, we need a drop down. So I'm giving it as a select. And status employees are, we are going to give default values. So that we will do later. So I'm giving done. So now you can see the form is being populated in the apply vacation page. So here you can see there are 2 headings. By default, the form is also having an heading. So I'm removing my previous label, delete, and I am changing it, this vacation info, into apply vacation. So here start date and date, type are all available. Now we can go and give the default value for the status. So status tells whether the request is approved, rejected, or pending. So since the user is just applying for a vacation, the status is pending. So I need to give a default value as pending. So here in the right hand side under properties, there is a default value. I can hard code it directly pending. So in which case the pending value will be pushed to the DB when a user applies for the vacation. Now we need to give a value for this employee. So this tells for which employee the form is being, the request has been raised. So for that, we need to first create a variable. Variable is a mediator for between the backend and front end. So if we need any data, if UI needs any data from the backend, we can create variables. And also if the UI needs to push data to the backend also, we can have the variables. So here now to get the employees data, I am creating a variable. So here I can go ahead and create new variable. So here this is the, you can see there are different types of variables that can be created. Database CRUD is for creating or updating or deleting any data from the DB directly. So or else we have APIs related variable. So if you need any variable to be mapped with the imported APIs, we can have it created using imported APIs. If we need any like query procedures or even DB table data, then we can have database API variables. If it is a SOAP, REST APIs we need to invoke, then we can have the web service variable. If we need to call any Java services, then we can have the Java service variable. If it is by default, we have security services for under WaveMaker for each project. So if you need to invoke those services, we can have the security variable, and we have the static. If we need any static variables with static data, then we can have it as a model variable. So currently in our case, we need to get the employee, fetch the employee details from the DB. So I'm selecting it as a database API, and I am selecting HRDB. So here you can see a table API is query procedure. So in our case, it is a table API, and I can select the table employee. And here it is, since I need to get the employee details, I'm giving employee, and SV get employee. I'm giving the name. Owner tells whether this is a peach variable or if you need it as a global variable, you can mark it as an application variable. In our case, it is a peach variable. Done. So you can see the variable is being created, and here the properties tells update data on input change. Like if any input is being changed, you need to refresh this variable. You can select this option, request data on page load. If you, when the page is loading, you need the data for this variable, you can have it on the page load itself. You can select this. And then we have the in-flight behaviors when you need to execute this variable, and then spinners, like if you need to any loading symbols or anything until the variable gets the data, you can have them as well. Data shows up, we can configure the input parameters for this variable. So in our case, we need to provide the ID so that it can go and fetch the details of the employee for which this employee ID we have given. So in our case, for time being, I'm giving 1. So in this case, it will go and fetch the employee details of employee ID 1. So this is for temporary purpose. I have given 1. Later, when we configure the security, at that time, we will come and change this employee ID as login employee ID. So time being, I'm making it as 1. Events, by default, WaveMaker gives this much events for the variables: on before update, on result, on error, on before dataset ready, on can update, on success. So on success, on result, on error gives like whenever there's a if the variable is successfully able to get data, or if the getting on error, like if the variable is not able to pull the data, if any actions need to be done, you can have the trigger these events. On before dataset ready, you can have, if you need to format any of the inputs or provide any extra inputs, you can have it like on before dataset ready. So these are the events that are available for the variables. Save and close. So on save and close, you can see top variables. You can have, you can see the variable is already created, and on selecting, you can see the details. Similarly, you can also create actions. So in case of actions like navigations or any any messages needs to be coming up and out, or such or any notifications or anything, those actions can be created under actions. So now we have already created a variable. We need to bind it with our employee. So once we bind it with the employee's default value, whenever the user comes and submits, that request will be based on this employee. So currently we have kept it as 1, but we will be changing it into the login employee, so that whenever a request is submitted, it will be that login employee's request. So default value on bind, you can see, you can bind variables, widgets, resource, use expressions, or localized messages. Variables, you can see already the variables what we have created is available here. Widgets, if there are any widgets, you can see those widgets over here. You can have those widgets values as default value for this. Then we have resources. If you need any images or anything, that can be pulled over here. Use expressions. If you have any, if you need to give any scripts, you can give over here. Like if you have any conditions and all, that can be given as JavaScript over here. So in our case, I'm going and directly selecting the our variable. So this is our variable. You can see there is a type mismatch error coming up because this is a node, but what we need is an employee object. So I'm going inside. You can see there is a data set which is showing all the, which is the employee object. So I clicked it. You can see that type is matching. WaveMaker is showing whether the type is matching or not. So here it is showing a type is matching. Under this, you can also go and see, like there are all this information related to the employee. If you need any specific information, that is also you can select, but in our case, we need the object completely. So we are selecting the dataset object. Bind, data is binded over here. Now, for us, the status and employee, we don't need to show it over there. So here, the status, I'm making it a show equal to false. So we can also, there are options where we can make it as read only. If it is mandatory, we can make it as required. So currently in our case, both the ones are, I'm making it as. So employee, it is a mandatory field. So I'm making it as mandatory, but since we have given value, it will be, that default value will be passed on submit. So this one also I'm making it show false so that these two fields will not be shown in the UI, hidden fields. Now there is a last part which we need to do is on submit of this, we need to go to employees page. For that, I'm going in on left side, the third tab, events properties. And here under success, on success only, we need to navigate to the employees page. So I'm giving go to employee. So by default, you can see and all these actions are being created by the WaveMaker. So I'm just I need to select it. Save. So I'm saving. So entire page is being saved and we can preview. So you can see the apply vacation page is being populated. You can select dates. Then sick, if it is personal leave, sick leave, I'm selecting it as sick leave. Save. It has gone to the employees page. That means it has been successfully submitted. So this is how you will be creating an apply vacation page using live form in WaveMaker. Thank you.